Hey, welcome to The Point of Change. My name is Matt Jablonsky. I'm a motivational speaker for addiction prevention and for recovery. I am a recovering meth addict. I use methamphetamine and every drug I can get my hands on for about 13 years. I've been in recovery since February 3rd, 2017, which means I just went over 3 years in recovery. Yay! Thank you guys. Today, my mom and I will be sharing my story of addiction and recovery, but we're going to emphasize today how my addiction and my recovery, both how they have affected my mother's life. This is not an easy story for us to share, but it is important that we do in an effort to help the next family that has to suffer with the growing problem of addiction. Neither of us are medical professionals. We're simply sharing our experience. You want to read that, Mom? If you didn't muster.
22 million Americans are currently suffering from a substance use disorder. More than 23 million others are living in recovery. So when you include the families of the afflicted, addiction impacts over 85 million people. We all know somebody. And so this is not a those people, this is a everybody disease.
It definitely is. It takes more than we know, and it's not just the people you would think it is. Growing up in Hawkins, you wouldn't expect someone to fall into a hardcore meth addiction. I mean, there are some people in this audience who would say that's a given, but you wouldn't think that drugs like heroin and meth are in such a small community, but they are. They're actually readily available. Before drugs, we lived in Hawkins. I grew up in Old 14. I had my mom there all the time. My dad was an over-the-road truck driver, but he was always a phone call away. He was there on his weekends to get me. I had a very supportive family, but I was never very family-oriented. I just didn't give a shit about family and things like that. And then later in my life, that spiraled me into starting using drugs and hanging out with people that I didn't really care about. You look at this innocent boy here, and you wouldn't think that he was going to turn out to be a meth addict. I was such a friendly kid. I loved everybody. I didn't stick to one clique. I hung out with anybody. It didn't matter who you were. Everybody was my friend. And yet I still found myself lost into a drug addiction. So stay on your toes, guys. This doesn't happen to, this happens to anybody. You think it'll happen to someone else, but to someone else, you are someone else. Drug addiction is the only thing in the world that will have you treating the people killing you better than the people who love you. And that was my experience with meth. I pushed away my family and my friends, and even my true friends who were right there. I did ignore, I would value meth over top of my true friends. Tony, he's a true friend of mine. He's still my friend. We're both in recovery together, so that's awesome. And even Valerie too. We did so much drugs together, but now we're clean, and it's awesome to be here, guys. We'll move on to my meth addiction. Mom, how does this picture make you feel?
This is the mouth of meth. And how many times as his teeth were slowly rotting away, and I would make a comment to him, and I don't know how many times I've heard the story of the wrench that slipped off the nut and came back and hit him in the face and knocked his teeth out. They will lie through their teeth or not teeth because they don't want you to know. They want to keep it hidden. So when somebody else would say to me, well, I saw your son, he's missing some teeth. Yeah, he got in a bar fight. Because a bar fight sounded more like what happened than a wrench coming off of a bolt that you were trying to loosen.
See, and the lie that I told about it when I first moved away, when I first came into recovery, I was very ashamed of my past, and I moved to Whitewater, and I didn't want anybody to know that I ever did drugs. So I came up with a lie, and I told people that I was in a car accident and that I bit the steering wheel. I knew they would not believe that. Looking at that mouth, that does not look like you bit a steering wheel. But I didn't care that people wouldn't believe me. I just didn't want to tell anybody ever that I did drugs. And I think that really helped me a lot, because when people would talk about drugs or ask me if I did anything, I would say, nope, never touched drugs, not a bit of them, and that really protected me. I wish, I guess I would say I wish I had been more open with my recovery in the beginning, but I'm really glad I wasn't, because it really kept me protected. Loving an Addict. This is written by Judy White. One must have a heart forged from the strongest steel, because along the way your heart will become the addict's toy. One must be keen on observation. The addict will manipulate you given the opportunity. Last, stop enabling. That's the purest love you can give an addict and yourself. Mom, you touched on enabling last night. You want to talk about Dad and how you felt about my relationship with him?
His dad and I were divorced, and Matt was living with his dad, and his dad enabled him constantly. If Matt would borrow his truck, it was a matter of, Dad, I gotta go pick up so-and-so because they need a ride into work and they don't have a ride, can I use your truck? Sure, gas is in it, here's the keys, go. Matt might be seen again 2-3 weeks later. You'd call him, you'd message him, he would never answer his text or his messages, so his dad didn't know where he was. But yet the next time Matt needed to borrow the truck, sure, here you go. He wasn't taking anybody to work, he was taking himself to the dope man, and then he was taking him and his buddies to another dope man or to a dope party, but it was never what he said it was. Dad, I want to run to town and pick up some milk for us, I see we're almost out. Okay, here's some money, bring me back the change. Well, of course, he never got any change back and never got any milk either. And it was constant, non-stop. Nick would show up, his dad would show up where I worked, and he would say, well, Matt got busted last night, he's in jail. And my first thought was always, good. Sorry. Because he was alive. And he was safe. I mean, I know I'm not stupid, I know they probably had, they could do the jailhouse liquor, and they probably got some amount of drugs in. But he was alive and he was safe. And I was so happy that he was in jail because I knew where he was. And his dad would say, I'm going to go bail him out. And I'd say, leave him there. He's alive. He's going to get clean if he's in there. No, he's not. I need him. I need him. And he would go get him and bail him out. And within hours, Matt would be gone again. Over and over. It was a cycle that never stopped. He constantly enabled him. And I would get so upset with him about it. And his brothers would get upset with his dad. And they would talk to him and they'd say, Dad, you can't keep bailing him out. You can't keep giving him the keys to the castle. And instead of listening to him, his dad would get mad and say, you're picking on the baby of the family here. Stop it. And it drove a wedge between them to the point where his brothers, by the way, we didn't know how to make girls, all we had were boys. But it would drive that wedge, and the boys got to the point where they couldn't talk to their dad at all about Matt. They could talk about anything else, but not about Matt, because he protected him. And in the protection where he thought he was giving him love, and he was given a place to live, he was actually giving him more drugs, and helping build the addiction. And the disease of addiction is there, but he kept him in it without even meaning to. He thought he was protecting him, but he didn't realize he was actually paying what we refer to as the addict's ransom. The addict wanted him to keep doing it, and he did. He did.
Very true, very true. And I used to have a saying with my dad. I used to say it's easier to get forgiveness than it is to get permission. So if he wouldn't give me his truck, or he wouldn't borrow me money, I would wait until he took a nap, and then when he would wake up, I would be gone, his money would be gone, and the truck would be gone. I'd be gone for however long I seen fit. And I left my dad at home, worried, scared, anxious, in poor health. In the end, my dad didn't have much strength anymore. He couldn't really do a lot around the house. And that was my excuse for why I still lived with Dad and why I'd be there, is because I needed to help him with that stuff. But so many times I wasn't there. I was either gone doing drugs, or if I was home, I was in my room with the door locked, which he hated. But I would always sit in my room with the door locked, because if he came in, we were doing nothing. He would see us right away. So I spent 5 years living at my dad's house, and like my mom said, he enabled me the whole time. But I forced him to enable me, because my dad loved me so much. And if he wouldn't give me the keys, if he wouldn't give me the money, if he wouldn't let me go, I would stop talking to him. And I did this numerous times throughout my life. I would stop talking to my dad for months on end, to the point where he was leaving me voicemails crying, saying, Matthew, just please call me. Just talk. Just talk to me. I don't care if he did this. I don't care what you're doing. Please just call me. And I wouldn't. I would ignore him. And I would say, Dad's, blowing my phone up again, damn it. And I'd silence it, and I'd keep doing drugs. And that was the life I lived for 13 years. Until I got arrested on February 3rd, 2017, and I went to jail. This came up in my memories the other day. Mom posted this on my timeline on Facebook 3 days after I went to jail. She didn't even know I was in jail when she posted this, and that goes so far as to say a mother's intuition right there. How did you feel making this post, Mom?
I had been trying to contact him. I would message him, I would leave messages on his phone, I would text him, and never get a response. And those were the worst because you don't know where they are. You don't know if they're alive or if they're dead. I believe it was shortly before this that the incident happened. If you're from the area, you're probably familiar with the story that over at the mink farm in Bruce, they found the body of a young man burned in a barn. That the whole barn burnt down. And they determined that he had been burned alive, tied to a chair and burned alive. Later, the rumor came out, still don't know if it was true or not, that he was a confidential informant. And in talking with different people, I found out that Matt had been in jail and suddenly had gotten released. So of course, as a mom, the first thing you're thinking when you hear this story is, how did he get out? His dad did not bail him out, because I had asked him, and he said, no, I didn't bail him out. And I thought, he got out because he's a CI. He is now a confidential informant. And is that him in that chair? Because they weren't releasing names. Was it him that they found in that building? And it went on for quite a while, and then I found out that, I just typed it on his page, Lost Boy, not knowing where he was, if that was him, if it wasn't him, hoping if he saw that, he would reach out to me and say it wasn't me, Mom. And then I found out later that he was in jail during the time that happened. And what a relief to know that, okay, I don't know who it was, and I feel really bad that some mother just lost her son that way, or a brother, or my sister just lost her son, her brother that way. But there was a relief for me that it wasn't Matt. So, yeah, that was me. A lot.
I asked Mom to add a few slides to this presentation when I sent it to her, and she added this one, and I thought it hit me in the heart to see that she added this. Obviously, she doesn't have pictures of herself crying, but I can't tell you, because I don't know, because I wasn't there, but I can't tell you how many nights my mom spent like this. I have no idea, but I know that she did. I know she cried. I know she worried about me constantly, and their worry to me was a burden. When I heard that they were worried about me, or that they thought I was doing this, or thought I was doing this, doing that, it was always a burden to me, and it drove me further into drugs. And I shouldn't say it drove me further into drugs. I went further into the drugs because of what I was doing to myself. The drugs that I was using were to help myself. I was trying to cover up the pain of doing the drugs that I'm doing to cover the pain. It was a vicious cycle that I was caught in. Now we're going to get to some happier stories. Now Mom can smile and stop crying.
Do you want me to talk about the dream?
Yes, let's go back to that. I would love for you to add that.
I woke up one night in the middle of the night, and I woke up because Matt was in my room. I shouldn't even wanted to talk about this. I heard his voice saying, Mom, I need help. Mom, help me. And I jumped out of bed and woke up Guy, and who was my husband. And he said, what's the matter? And I said, Matt's here. And he said, no, he's not. And I said, yeah, he is. I just heard him. He called for me. He told me he needed something. So we got up and we're looking through the house. We're looking outside. Matt wasn't there. Couldn't find him. Didn't know where he was. Laid back down, tried to go back to sleep, and I kept hearing his voice in my mind. What I found out later was that Matt had been arrested that same night. And he thought he was going to jail. Or he was going to jail. He thought he was going to the pen. Didn't want to go to the pen. Did not. The only way he could see out of it was, I'm going to have to commit suicide. Now he's being booked, and he's handcuffed in front of himself. And the overachiever that he is, he reached up, took his sunglasses off his head, because he always wore them on his head, pulled them off, snapped the bow. Inside the bow was a metal rod, a piece of steel. And he took that piece of steel and he started stabbing into his wrist until he was bleeding out. and the jailer happened to turn around to say something to him while he was filling out the paperwork and saw him laying there bleeding out, or sitting there bleeding out, tackled him, got the bleeding stopped, and they took him to the hospital and got him, of course, back. But I don't think Matt realized how close he was to dying, that he actually appeared at my house to ask for help.
Sorry, that's how you free to tell one. And as I said in the beginning, this is a hard story for us to tell. But now let's get on to some happier times. Let's get on to me going into recovery. How did you feel, Mom, when seeing this picture here, you know, finding out that I moved away, that I got out of jail and I moved? How did that?
Well, you had sent me a message and said, sorry, when he first got out of jail, and he said, sorry, Mom, I'm not going to be able to come see you. I'm moving down by Ryan. And I know if I stay there any longer, I'm going to be right back into it. And it was the same type of feeling as when he's in jail. Woohoo, he's alive. He's going away. He won't be around the same people, hanging out with the same people. Good, go. And I knew Ryan would support him and would not let him do drugs.
That was a big reason why I didn't move in.
Besides that, Matt weighed less than 100 pounds at that time, and Ryan was a full-fledged kick your butt if you do it.
Oh, that was something that held me back for a long time, with not liking change, which is ironic that now I am the face of the point of change. But when I moved in with Ryan, I'm sure my family, my mom and my dad, and I know my dad was worried that he wouldn't see me anymore. And I'm sure my mom had that same thought. You know, I only lived a few miles away from her, and she never seen me as it is. Now I moved 4.5 hours away, you're never going to see me. But that's the beauty of recovery. Since I've been in recovery, I've seen my mom more in the past 3 years than I have most of my life. I make sure that I'm here for my family as much as I can be. This is a message that only 2 people, well, Mom seen it last night, but only 2 people have seen these messages. This is the message I got from Ryan. Well, before this, I didn't screenshot that. Before this was his message saying, so are you done stealing shit? And I said, yes. And he said, well, you can always come down here and hang out for a while. That'd be wicked awesome. I said, you know, you've offered me that for years, and you know how much I love change, hate it, and I'm considering it. I don't like change. And he said, you should. It would do you some good to get out of that area and experience some culture and sophistication. Ryan had offered me for years. Every time I got out of jail, which I'd been to jail numerous times, every time I got out, I had a message from Ryan saying, hey man, me and Brianna love you. Come on down here. Stay with us. You know, we'll get you back on the right track. And I always turned him down. I had some reason. Either I needed to be there for my dad, or I just got a new job, or I got a new girlfriend. I got to stay and see how that goes. But I knew in my heart that Ryan wouldn't let me do drugs if I moved down there. So that's the main reason why I stayed away from Ryan's offer. But this time, I told him that I was considering it. And I think it goes a long way to say he told me to come down for a week. He didn't say move down here. He didn't say make a huge life change. He just said come down for a week. Try it out. See if you can get a job. If you can't, nothing works out, you don't like it, I'll bring you back home. No harm, no foul. And I took him up on that. I said, that sounds like a good plan. And because when you're trapped in a drug addiction, you're very stuck on instant gratification. You want things, you want to feel good, but you want it now. You don't want to wait. You don't want to commit to anything long term. So when he said, just come down here for a week, that really helped my ability to open up to this possibility. And I came down there. The next day I woke up, I was going to go put in some applications, and the first place I went to was Generac, and they were doing walk-in interviews that day. So I walked in, I put in an application, I had my interview on the spot, and I got my job the next day, and I started working. Everything just started to fall into place, and recovery started to happen. Sometimes strength comes in knowing you are not alone, and that was what Ryan did for me, letting me know that, you know, I wasn't alone in this, that I could do this. He gave me enough. He even said one time, he said, if there's ever a bet, I'll bet on Maddie every time. He said, I'm the smartest. He said, Maddie, you're the smartest guy I know. I don't know why you did all that. You know, even myself going through it for 13 years and now being in recovery for 3 years, I still can't tell you exactly what happened, why I did all that. It's just a hard reality of life. Here's a wonderful before and after. Mom, how does it make you feel seeing me as a motivational speaker?
I'm very proud of the fact that he's helping others, he's helped himself, but he's helping so many other people, and not just globally. He's worldwide with his Facebook page. He's got followers from every country there is, And they messaged me privately as well, telling me, you know, that he helped him, and thank you. And I'm just very proud that he was able to turn his life around.
There's another picture of me. That was pretty early on when I became a motivational speaker. I was still in my original office as a motivational speaker. You can see this curtain rod right here was a 4x4 closet. With a tiny desk and a banner across the back wall, and I made Facebook Live videos in there. Actually, I originally started, I still lived in Ryan's house. I still lived sleeping on his couch, and I started making videos in his garage. I put a cooler, I had a cardboard box, and I had that little phone stand you see over there just sitting on top of the cardboard box, and I would make live videos in Ryan's garage.
There were a few times that the cardboard boxes tipped over too.
Oh yeah, that taught me how to be on the spot for doing these presentations, man. Your camera tips over and almost hits you in the face. But you can, you know, it's funny, when I first started it, I was really worried about what I was starting. And I noticed one day I was looking at how many people had liked my page, and I was looking through it, and I noticed that there was a name missing. My brother Chris had never liked my page. And so I messaged him. I said, hey man, you haven't liked my page yet, you should go give it a like. And he messaged me back and he said, I don't support you in doing that. He said, I don't believe that people, he said, in my church we believe that you have to be fully out of the darkness before you can help others out of the darkness. And I said, you know, I messaged him back a big lengthy message saying, come on man, I know I'm not out of the darkness, but nobody's ever out of the darkness in addiction. You're never out of the darkness. I can relapse at any time, and I feel like I need to start lighting torches behind myself. I found a way out of this darkness, you know, light torches and guide the next person out. And he didn't message me back. And it just started to stew in my brain. Maybe he's right. Maybe I shouldn't start this yet. Maybe I'm not out of the darkness. It really started to eat at me. And then I went to church that Sunday, and the main message that the pastor had that day was, do what you can with what you have right now. Do not wait until you have everything you need to fix the whole problem. And I was like, yes, that's it. So I got on my phone and messaged Chris. I was just at church, and the pastor did this. And that was, I'm proud to say now that my brother Chris has liked my page. He totally supports in everything I'm doing. He's actually come on my live videos with me and shared his story as well. So it takes time. Stick to your guns. If you're out there trying to start something, and you just got to stick to your guns, and people will follow. There's me speaking at the state capitol, right on the steps of the state capitol in Madison, Wisconsin, sharing my story. How does this make you feel, Mom?
Yeah, that was good. They gave a very short window that they give for each of these guys, and he did awesome telling his story of recovery. Reader's Digest, really condensed version. Got a standing ovation out of the audience for what he told.
Yeah, crowd of over 2,000 people.
Yeah.
That was intense.
And your anxiety didn't even kick in.
No, it really didn't. It really didn't.
That's one of the leftover things, or part of the reason for the drug use, and then one of the leftover parts of it is anxiety and depression. So you really got to be on your toes for that too, because they're going to be triggers for the rest of his life. You know.
Yeah, anxiety and depression, underlying mental issues often cause a drug addiction or lead to a drug addiction. So when you come into recovery, you have to be on your toes and be ready, because you would think that you fix the drug addiction, you're going to fix the underlying problems. That's not true at all. In fact, the drug addiction in a lot of cases is self-medicating those underlying mental issues. So when you come into recovery, they are full force in your face. That anxiety, that depression, and I am shocked at how speaking in front of you people and speaking in front of people, I am so calm up here. I don't feel my anxiety. I don't feel depressed. I feel happy. This has brought me a whole new level of awesomeness in my life. Let's see if am I into the, we're almost there. We're almost there. Mom included this one. Be the person you needed when you first found out. What was the reason you picked this, Mom?
The reason I picked this meme to be up here is because this is what I want to do. I want to let families and know that it's okay to talk about it. When all this kind of started going before this, I worked, a lot of you probably recognize me, I work at Walmart. And I kept it hid. We don't tell people because we're ashamed. And we don't know if they're going to hate us, if they find out that we have an addict in our family, if they're going to hate your child. You don't want to, nobody wants anybody to hate their child. You don't know if you're maybe gonna lose your job, maybe you're gonna lose friends, maybe they're gonna turn against you because you have someone who's a drug addict, who's a known drug addict, who they also know is a thief because he's gotta fuel his drug habit. So you don't know how they're gonna react to you. So I kept it hid and I kept it buried inside. And so did a couple other people I know. All of us did. It's what you do. You keep it hid. You don't want people to know. Last year when Matt was brought to Rusk County to talk at the, ended up being at the theater by the youth council, brought him in to talk. And people at work started coming up to me saying, Matt's your son? Before that point, people would come up to me and they'd say, are you Matt Jablonsky's mom? And at first, before I found out about his addiction, I would say, yeah, I am. And then they'd say, do you know he stole from my grand? I'm like, nope, didn't know that. So then I got so they'd say, are you Matt Jablonsky's mom? And I would say, I don't know why. I don't know. Yeah, it just, or I'd change the subject because you didn't want people to know. And now when people come up to me and say, are you Matt Jablonsky's mom? I say, damn right. Sure am. Can I have him help, do you think he can help me? Message him and find out. Message him and find out. Because there was nobody there except my dear friend Kelly that I could talk to about it. And we talked to each other, and she made a comment to me when she found out I was going to be doing this, and she said, don't you wish there was somebody doing this for us when we first found out? And yes, we do. We wish there was. So we're going to be working with the youth council to set up a support group so that we can have, and it's going to be an informal thing. So if you want to come and you want to talk about it, you think your child or you think your sister or your brother, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, whoever, your next door neighbor, your friend, might have a problem. What can I do? How do I deal with this? How do I get through it? That we can bounce ideas. We're not medical professionals. We're not psychologists. We're just people who have been through it. And so we want to get together so that so nobody has to go through it alone like we did, because it's hard and it hurts. As you can tell, it still hurts. I'm so proud that he's alive. There's so many stories from his addiction that he told in his early starting of this. One of the ones that always stuck with me was about his dad. And Matt was in basically a drug-induced coma. And he woke up, and his dad is sitting on the floor holding him. His dad thought Matt had died. And he was holding him, and he was rocking him, and he's going, why? Why? And Matt came out of it a little bit. Dad, what's the matter with you? There's nothing wrong with me. Get over it. Shows you what they're thinking. They're not. They didn't even realize how much pain he was causing his dad at that point. So we've been there. We've done this. The song that we presented at the very beginning about sober, that one gets me every time. Many times as I've watched it, I love the song. But it gets me because I lived that. Where they're stealing anything they can. For me, he wasn't living with me, so I didn't find him passed out, but he might as well have been because I couldn't find him anyway. Didn't know if he was dead or alive. So, yeah, we want to be the people that can help you, or that maybe can't help you, but you can talk to, and we can maybe help you find some resources or a way to get through it.
I would add to that in this small area up here in the Northwoods, it seems we act like we're in the Wild West. If you got a problem, rub some dirt on it, shut your mouth, and keep going. And that's not the way to go about it, guys. We need to be vocal. We need to open up and talk. It doesn't matter. A lot of people think, well, everybody's got problems. I don't need to talk about mine. But that's exactly it. Everybody has problems. We need to talk about all of them. And don't be ashamed if my mom's going to work on starting those meetings. And if any of you want to come, or if you know somebody that wants to come, please don't be ashamed. Don't feel like everybody's going to see you going to this meeting. Be proud if they see you going to that meeting. Say, yeah, damn right I was at that meeting, and it was awesome. And let people know that this is okay. This is okay to talk about our feelings. It's okay to talk about our struggles.
That's why our higher power gave us friends.
Yes.
And family.
Yes, I was just saying last night that you can count your blessings, but count your blessings all you want. They won't do anything for you unless you utilize your blessings. If a man is stuck in the bottom of a hole and he has a ladder, but he doesn't recognize that he has a ladder, he's going to stay in that hole. And even if he recognizes that he has the ladder and counts it as a blessing, wakes up in the bottom of the hole every morning and says, thank you, God, for this beautiful ladder, but doesn't use the ladder, he's going to stay in the hole. And that's exactly where I found myself with a drug addiction. I stayed in a drug addiction for 13 years, and the whole time I had a supportive, loving family. I had a good brain. I had a good head on my shoulders. I got friends. I have a phone. I have a mouth. I could voice my opinion, but I didn't. I stayed silent. I stayed suffering, and I pushed my family and friends away. So make sure you're talking about these things. Talk to somebody. Reach out in any way. And it's great to be up here telling you how good recovery is and how awesome it is for your family, but I'd like to show you. I have a few announcements that Mom has no idea what I'm about to say. Well, the first one I already announced. As of February 3rd, I am 3 years meth-free, so that's pretty awesome. And as of January 18th, I have successfully completed 5 years of probation, and I am no longer on probation. Yeah, so now I can start traveling and doing this over the road. That'll be great. I want to add on the end of this. This is Heidi Childress. She's a friend of mine on Facebook. She leads online Bible studies. Now, I had another picture of her, but she would have killed me if I'd have put it up here. Heidi still suffers with horrible meth mouth. She's missing most of her teeth in the front. She has a few jagged teeth left hanging out. And this woman is so courageous and so strong and believes in God so hard that she still makes Facebook Live videos with that mouth, with people all around the world seeing her like that. And I envy her courage. I love this woman. She's been clean since March 24th, 2017. She's doing awesome. I have started a mission with the Point of Change. I am working on I'm in the beginning steps of starting a nonprofit organization called Smile for a Change, where we will be accepting donations and doing fundraisers and raising money to help people in recovery get their teeth fixed.
Matt, you should tell them how you got your teeth, so that they understand. This is paying it forward is what he's working on.
This is what set me on this beautiful smile that I have in front of you. Before I started the Point of Change, I joined a few Facebook groups for addiction, and I definitely recommend Facebook groups if you have any problems in your life. If you want a good support group and don't want to go to a physical place, Facebook has amazing groups for people. So I joined a few addiction groups on Facebook, and I was making posts in there and helping people on there a little bit. And me and my best friend Ryan, he bought a motorcycle, and we went to go get the motorcycle. When we went to get it, the guy's daughter was in his window, and she was talking to me. And she was 4 years old, I remember, because she told me about 1,000 times. And when I went to talk to her, instantly her eyes went, I still had that horrible mouth you've seen, and instantly her eyes went from my eyes down to my mouth. And she just stared. And she said, what happened to your teeth? And I said, well, honey, I was naughty, and they ran away. And she said, they ran away? I said, yeah, they ran away. She said, are they going to come back? I said, no, honey, they're not going to come back. I got to buy all new ones. And I made a post about this in this group, and I said, guys, the point of this story is don't have that knee-jerk reaction of getting insulted. Don't feel bad about it. I said, she was just a young girl she's talking to a full-grown man who has less teeth than she does, and she's interested. She wants answers. Don't get insulted by it. She has no idea that I had a horrible meth addiction. She has no idea that I'm horribly sensitive about my teeth. She just wanted answers, so don't have that knee-jerk reaction. You gotta just take things. People don't understand your situation, and even if they understand it, they might not respect it, so just keep doing you. I made this post, and I had a message from a woman come in from
Cleveland,
Ohio. I've never met this woman before in my life. She messaged me and said the words that I'll never forget. I'd like to help you get your teeth back. And I said, you have my full attention. She said, I won't give you money, because that's an excellent point there too. Never send an addict money. She said, but what I will do is give me the name and number of your dentist, and I'll get a hold of them and I'll work something out. I said, all right. I gave her the information. Had no idea what she was planning on doing. I got a call from my dentist. This woman paid for my extractions. $2,700 out of her own pocket, paid for it. Bought and paid for it, just had to go get it done. And then I talked to her, I told her thank you, and she says, the only thing I asked, she said, see this through the end, Matt. She said, I want you to buy the denture, but I want you to see this through the end. I want you to have a smile back. And I said, okay, you got it. There's a promise for you. I will. Well, I had 8 weeks of healing, and I had to get my impressions and then wait for the denture. Well, 8 weeks goes by, and I don't have, it's another $2,700 to get the denture made. And I don't have that. So I'm like, oh, great, this is going to go on the back burner. It's going to end up being a promise that I made that I can't fulfill. Great. And then I get a call from the dentist, and they said, we need the number from that woman that paid for your extractions. Your health insurance kicked in at your new job, and they paid some money on it. We got some money to send back to her. I was like, all right, here's your number. Gave her a number. The woman calls me back and says, did they tell you how much money they're sending me? No. She said, your insurance paid 50%. They're sending me half of the money back. I said, oh, okay. And she said, but I don't need it. She said, I already wrote this money off. That $2,700 is gone. She said, so what I did is with your new insurance, I talked to them. With that money, all they need is $300 more to make you your denture. So I'm going to send them $300 more, and we're going to get you smiling. And I said, oh my God, you know, I melted.
He called me crying. Mom, Mom! And of course you're panicked, because when somebody's in recovery and they call you crying and sobbing and can't hardly talk, you don't know what's happened. Did they just relapse? Are they, you know, what's going on? And then he started telling me about this lady, and talk about pay it forward. You know, out of the kindness of her heart, and for no other reason that she believed in him, she did this.
That woman doing that for me really reestablished a connection with humanity. It really gave me a new trust for mankind again. It made me think that there are good people out there.
It happens in the movies, not to real people.
Yes, that's something you see on Dr. Phil. That's not something that happens to Matt Jablonsky. So it really reestablished a trust for humanity in me. Before that, I really didn't want to help people in my recovery. I started wanting to help a little bit in recovery, and I volunteered at an animal shelter. That was a good way for me to get this outflowing of love out, and I could put love into something and not have to help people. But she did that, and that really reestablished a love for people in me, and that's what started me speaking. That's what started me reaching out to people and trying to help more people. And I want to continue to pay that forward. So what I'm doing with starting Smile for a Change is, this is my way of paying that forward. And today we do have a donation box over there if anyone feels like they want to donate to Heidi. Heidi, you can go ahead and get your name on there. We can get you a ticket. We have some gift certificates from Ladysmith Fresh Market to give people. We'll do a drawing after we get all the donations in, and I'll let you guys know who the winner is. Yeah, thank you guys all for coming. This was awesome. I'm so honored and privileged and happy to be here, to be alive, to be able to spread a good message.
You talk about the recovery ribbon too.
Oh yes, there
have
is
the
a
silent
silent auction going on over there too, if you want to put your name and your number and your bid. If you don't have money on you, I do, you know, we have PayPal, we have all these things, I can get money, don't worry about it. But if you'd like to participate in the silent auction, I have a gift certificate for a free recovery ribbon tattoo from the creator himself. This is the recovery ribbon for breaking the chains of addiction. The creator himself at Inked Horizons in Merrill, Wisconsin sent a gift certificate for a free tattoo if anybody would like to donate, and silent auction on
And
that.
that's a
All of that
wonderful-
money will go towards Heidi.
The wonderful tattoo that for him that he got, that is because he broke the chains of addiction. But Diamond also designed a ribbon that is for those of us that support those that have gone through addiction, which I have. And first tattoo ever at over 50 years of age. And I went ahead and also had Matt's name put on mine when I first got it. Just a little side note on that too, is that when the Youth Council did their presentation for the reality tour the other day, they were talking about the facts, you know, and they used, of course, federal facts or nationwide facts, that the average person is in full-blown addiction for 2 years before family or friends realize how far they are in. In my case, with Matt's, it probably was a good 2 years before I realized just how bad he had gotten. But what I didn't know was when I got this tattoo, and surprised Matt with it on one of his live videos that I forced him into putting me live so I could make him cry. And he messaged me and he said, Mom, he said, I really appreciate what you did. I can't believe you guys did that, because my husband, his stepdad, also got that ribbon. That meant huge to Matt and myself when he got it. for a couple of reasons. Number one, because my husband hates needles, hates them with a passion. And number two, he lost his son to addiction. His oldest son couldn't handle and couldn't find a way out, so he killed himself. The guy was the one who found him. So for him to get this tattoo was huge, big deal. But when Matt messaged me afterwards and he said, Mom, I really am proud, I'm really glad that you guys did that, but he said, I don't know how Troy and Chris are going to feel about that. And I said, well, why would they feel bad that I got you, that we got this? And he said, because they've been clean longer than me. And talk about knock you over with a feather, I didn't even know that they had had addiction problems. So you really have to be on your toes. How I didn't know was because they didn't live around here. Troy had moved to the lower part of the state, and he worked for a company doing stainless steel welding. So he was gone all the time. He was flying out, being flown all over the country. Well, when you're doing that, the next thing you know, you're popping pills so that you can stay awake because you've got this job you've got to do and you're making the big bucks. And he ended up having an addiction problem with drugs as well as meth. And then Chris had moved to Wausau area. And when they wouldn't come home for Christmas or for the holidays, it was, well, I only got one day off. Mom, my job, I can't make it, I can't be there. And you don't question it. You've got a job, you can't be home. I get it, or you've got the family, the other family. So I can't be home because we got to go to my girlfriend's parents, or we got to do this, we can't, so we can't make it. Okay, it makes sense, but I never even knew. So I did go ahead and get their names put on and added to my ribbon, and I did it in January, in November. I did it right after Thanksgiving. Troy was able to be home for it. Chris was not. Chris is another huge success story because Chris went and got his, he never graduated from high school. After he got clean, he went to school, and his wife, who was a grade school sweetheart from another school, was a CNA, and he decided, gee, that's really interesting, I think I want to do that. So he went, he's got his CNA license, and then he wasn't happy with that. He wanted to continue helping people, so he homeschooled their 4 kids, held down 2 part-time jobs, and went to school at night so that he could become a licensed practical nurse, and now he's working on getting his RN license. So he's really good. So he's doing great, and so is Troy. He's doing great. That's Matt's oldest brother and lives with him down in Whitewater. He's working, doing a good job. He's got a daughter that he takes care of, and so it's all good now.
Troy just hit 2 years off the meth too.
Yep, and he hit 2 years, that's what I said. So
Rockin'
you never
recovery.
know, so if they're not making it home all the time, it might, in hindsight, I should have maybe made a road trip, something.
Well,
Because,
what
and when
happened?
you message them and say, I haven't heard from him in a while, what's going on, and you ask the other boys, because they're addicted too, they're covered for each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got a few minutes here left. We'll watch this video of my mother making me cry.
Oh, there you go. Here's where we go.
Got a message from my mom. She wanted me to go live, bring her on. She said she has a special announcement. So we're gonna wait for her to get here. If anyone's watching this, just bear with me here for a moment. I'm waiting for my mother to come on. There she is. I will send her the invite now. P.S. I have no idea what this announcement is. She didn't even clue me in. She just said she has an announcement.
He kept saying, I can't. And I did all caps. You get a message from your mom in all caps, you do it.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you? Good. So, we have an announcement, me and him.
What's up?
For a second there, I thought they were going to tell me they were getting a
We wanted
divorce.
to tell you what your ribbon means to us.
Oh. Well, no. Well, not my ribbon. My daughter's ribbon, but
Well,
I
your
understand.
tattoo, okay, so what your tattoo means to us is that you have made a lifelong
Oh,
Can you see it now?
hardly, but, oh. Wow.
So my first, so like, stop crying, you'll make me cry.
Holy crap, Mom. Oh,
So it's our first ever tattoos,
yeah.
and you know how much Guy hates needles, right?
Uh-huh.
So we got them today in Hayward at a wonderful shop called Infinity Tattoos. And it was wonderful, a great experience for our first tattoos, and they were amazed by your story. And India's story as well.
Can't even look at you.
So we have made the lifelong commitment to support you because we've written it in blood. No, actually, they didn't bleed. We're good.
Oh, wow. Wow, did not expect that announcement, Mother.
Well, that's why I didn't want you to wait. And then yesterday, when you're telling everybody you're going to be talking about your ribbon, I'm like, who told him? I only told like 4 people. Who told him?
No, that's what everybody would say. It wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me.
Yep. Oh, we didn't have fun then too, but
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you guys.
yep.
How's your arm
We're not
feel?
gonna. What's that?
How's your arm feel?
Oh, it feels great.
I bet.
I'm very proud of it. I put it there because I didn't want to put it on my shoulder. I wanted people to be able to see it because I'm very proud of you. And I'm not gonna hide it, I'm not gonna cover it. And yes, Sarah, I know you didn't tell him, and Brandon said he didn't tell him, and nobody told him. But we had to do it tonight because Raz is watching, and I didn't want her to have.
Raz is from New Zealand, and their time difference, they're like a day and a half ahead, or half a day ahead of us, so didn't want her getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
Better come and apologize to me for holding this secret behind my back and lying to you.
And on that. Does anybody have any questions for either me or my mom?
I do.
Oh,
I have two. Two for you and one for your mom.
alright.
The two ones are, how old were you when you started doing drugs, and did you ever go to rehab? And to mom, how did it feel to have 3 boys doing? I'm not an addict, none of my younger siblings are addicts,
Right.
but I've been around addicts. I got friends who are addicts. Some are recovering and some still are. But how did it feel to have 3?
It's heartbreaking, and you raise them and you think, that you thought you were doing a good job, and you actually are doing a good job. Addiction is actually a disease. There is a part of your brain that, when something feels good, and most of us can control that, I eat a candy bar, okay, that was good. I want another one, until pretty soon you've got, you've eaten a whole box of them. Doesn't usually happen, Some people, if they have the addiction, if they have the disease in their system, they might sit down and eat that whole box of chocolates. So it's a disease. It's a small little tiny defect in the brain that causes it. So, and some people can't control it. So, and I know, if you listen to the words to sober, they say, and it's a huge debate whether it's a choice or, they made that choice. They maybe made the choice to try it, but they didn't make the choice to stay with it.
And
So
as
yeah,
far as
it's heartbreaking. You do what you do what you think you're doing as a good job, to be a parent, and I found out, and you find out things later as to why things happened. For Matt, I'm still finding out different things when we have our conversations and talk that happened that I didn't know about. Bullying. He was bullied in school. He was bullied at home. Didn't even know that.
And as for me, I started with, innocently enough, in around 8th grade with smoking pot and drinking beers. And in high school, I was going to be that one guy that, you know, never did anything worse. And then in high school, senior year, I was working at the movie theater here in Ladysmith and going to Ladysmith High School, and it ran me ragged. I would stay up, you know, till after the late show on movies, and then tear down the theater, and then go to school the next morning, and I was just tore apart the whole time. And I was also, you know, I was 17 years old, had recently lost my virginity. I started smoking cigarettes. I thought I was a man. And I was introduced to methamphetamine, but I wasn't. He didn't say, you know, would you like to do methamphetamine? He said, hey, you want to try some speed? And I was like, yeah, sure. What's that? Let's try it. All right, cool. And we went to his bedroom, and it took about a half an hour because he was checking the windows and looking on the carpet and looking under the bed and looking out the windows again. And I thought, what the hell is this guy doing? What is going on? And then he, you know, we smoked a little meth, and I thought, this is awesome, was my first thought, because I was trying to hide that I was smoking weed from everybody, and weed smells really bad. Your eyes get red. You look like you're high when you smoke weed, but when you smoke meth, you can't tell. I mean, you can if you know what you're looking for, but when a person smokes meth, all that happens is their pupils get dilated, and they become extra happy, and you get this outflowing of, oh my God, I have so much energy, and I'm so happy, and I want all of you to be happy, and you can't tell that they're high, other than the hyperactivity and things like that. Nowadays, I would be able to tell, but back then I thought, wow, this is awesome, there's no way this has a downside. And yes, it does. It has so many bad things. And there was a moment in high school when I was walking down the halls, you know, of course we have those anti-meth posters that show meth mouth, and I was walking past one with a friend of mine who was also a meth user, and I said, man, I had a moment of clarity when I seen that poster. I thought, man, I really do not want my teeth to look like that. That is terrifying. And my buddy said, those are just the worst case scenarios, man. They always put the worst cases up there. That's highly unlikely to happen. They're just trying to scare you. And in that moment, he killed that fear of me. Instantly, I was like, he's right. They're just trying, this is a scare tactic. Never mind. Now, you can take those pictures of me and make a poster for meth. So it can happen to you. It's not just the worst case scenarios. And I guess maybe it is the worst case scenarios. I didn't know that I would become the worst case scenario. Does anybody else have any questions?
You know, hey, I guess I'm curious, what are your thoughts on supporting a loved one, a family or you know, friend who is in addiction or, you know, going through that experience? You talked about enabling. What do you suggest, or like, what did you need to maybe support you in the journey?
There's a difference between, you know, supporting them and enabling them.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line. If they see, like in Matt's case, where I need to go get some milk. Oh, hang on, I'll give you a ride. You know, let me give you a ride there. Guaranteed you won't buy milk. You know, or I need some money for this or that. Well, let me go buy it for you. Offer to go buy it for me. And it comes down to the point where I can't tell you how many times I just got to the point where I'd say, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. And I would cut myself off from them. I can't do it. I can't do this emotionally anymore. And would just stop trying to contact them, stop trying to do anything to help. And tough love, whatever you want to call it, no, you're not getting that from me. You're not getting anything. I'm done with you. And there are some extreme cases where parents have had to just say, that's it, you're done, you're not living here anymore, and throw them out. And I tried to get his dad to do that, and it was in the summertime, and I said, throw him out. And he said, well, I can't do that, he wouldn't have a place to live. I said, you know what, I got a tent and a cooler. He can live in the park for all I care, but if he doesn't have a place to live and a place to do his drugs, maybe he'll go get clean. Would he have? Who knows? But
did you ever go to rehab?
you may have to throw him out.
I never went to rehab. I actually when I went to jail on February 3rd, 2017, I went to jail for 97 days. It should have been longer than that. It should have been 7 months, but I had already racked up 4 months worth of time sat, so I only sat 97 days. But in that time, I had a lot of things happen. I was doing NA classes, not because I wanted to get clean, honestly, when I was in 97 days in jail. Like, some people, when they get clean, they get to celebrate those moments. They get to say, yes, I'm 30 days clean. Yes, I'm 60 days clean. I'm 90 days clean. I didn't have those moments because I was in jail and it was forced upon me. So me, it was more like, ugh, I haven't smoked meth in a month. Oh my God, that sucks. But over the course of that 97 days, they offered NA courses, which wasn't, I didn't go to them for the NA. I originally went because I wanted a reason to get out of my cell. You know, it gave me once a week where I could get out of the cell for an hour. And I went to the NA classes. But I guess this is a case where actions speak louder than words in this, because my words were, I'm going to get out, I'm going to go do so much more math, I can't wait, you know, me and these guys are going to hook up on the outside. But my actions were I was going to NA, and I was fully participating in NA. I was writing letters to my high school sweetheart, who every week she found time to write me a letter and ask me how things were going, when I was getting out, what was my plan, kept my mind in the right setting. And when I went to those NA meetings, the first time they opened it up for questions, and my first question was, how do you forgive yourself for all the bad things you've done? Because that was my biggest worry, was how am I going to get over what I've done? Because I left my family, I deserted everybody, I've been putting bathtub drugs into my body for 13 years. I was ashamed of my past. And his answer was, by receiving forgiveness from others, you will begin to forgive yourself. And I live my life by that now. That really hit me in the heart when he said that. And it gave me hope that I could possibly forgive myself. And seeing the NA instructor who had done every drug on the planet, and here he sits clean and sober, helping other people get clean and sober. That was really a big inspiration for me. So I had a lot of inspiration along the way, but no, I didn't do any formal rehab. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, my sister's an alcoholic, and she's trying to stop. She says it does kill the pain of loneliness, and that's when she drinks when she's alone. She lives by herself in Florida, which is a long way from you.
Mm-hmm.
Does loneliness sometimes help get into addiction, or did it kill the pain of loneliness?
Yes, loneliness is a big factor in addiction and in recovery. Loneliness when you, especially with alcohol, alcohol is a very social drug. It's a very social addiction. So when you stop using alcohol, you end up you don't get to hang out with the people that you hang out with. Nobody wants to talk to you anymore. And alcohol is one of the only drugs that you quit and people ask you why. Any other drug you quit, and they say, good for you, awesome, good work. When you quit drinking, they say, why? What's wrong with you? Are you weird? Did something happen? So alcohol is a very mischievous drug in that way. And it's so normalized, people think it's normal, people
It's
think
legal.
it's okay.
You can buy
and
it
it's
on
legal.
any street, you can walk
So
into
I
any
have
gas station and buy it.
And that loneliness coming into early recovery, if you could tell her that loneliness will fade, you will find new circles to hang out with. I myself hang out with a completely different circle of people these days, so new friends will come, and the ones that are true friends, that are even your alcoholic friends, even if they still drink, if you quit drinking and you stick to your guns, because one of the hardest things about quitting alcohol is telling people that you quit. It really is, because you have to, say, yeah, I don't drink anymore, and they instantly start that, why? So, if she can get over that, and then make a new circle of friends, it's much easier, but that first few months can get very lonely.
Look, ask her to find support groups or even neighbors that she can visit, or craft groups, any type of hobby that she can find. Does she do hobbies?
Well, she lives alone and drank all the time, and then she found a job. And so now she has to come to work sober if she'll lose her job.
Right.
And so she'll only have maybe 1 or 2 beers before she goes to bed with that whole 6-pack.
So that's a good start.
So she needs a job that will save your life.
Right. Well, the job, that's a wonderful start.
Because she
you know,
goes
and
to
it's
work, and she has friends at work, it's a telephone job.
sure. And
Well, we
Keep
have
yourself
already gone
occupied.
15 minutes over
Okay,
time here,
sorry.
so we really have to end. If you want to talk more, though, you're welcome to come and talk. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you guys so much. Please make sure you step next door. There's our community partners have booths next door. In here, in just a couple minutes, we will be having yoga and or meditation. Next door over here is Being Your Best Self with Dr. Tanya. And then after that, we'll hear a presentation and hear from NAMI and make vision boards next door. So check it out. There's lots of stuff going on today. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Oh yeah, you don't have to watch the cleanup. I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you guys could hear. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you all so much. Where's my camera? There it is. I love you guys. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay clean.